What's up, YouTube? Today we got another not fun one. I'm seeing too many injuries, so I feel like we need to start going off again. Let's get into it. Well, I'm thinking about it. So, did you guys know that you can support me for not spending a cent by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing my videos? Doesn't cost you a cent. Helps the algorithm see me a whole lot more, and it's totally free for you. It just takes 3 clicks. Just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks. Bye. Alright, sorry for the somber tone, but I've been seeing way too many injuries lately, and it really does make me angry. So, this is one of the machines I've been seeing a lot of people get bit. Normally I don't have the cord hanging over it, but it's unplugged because I'm rearranging stuff. And you guys got to remember, alright, when you're running this stuff, you got to be thinking constantly. Pay attention. Remember, again, this is unplugged. I am not doing anything with machinery plugged in today. Right there on the top, that is a razor sharp blade. It spins that way, so the blades are constantly coming towards you when you're running your board through. We'll take this little piece of purple heart I don't really care about because it's too small to do much with. You push it through. Normally, this is too short of a piece to run through a jointer. I don't know why I said planer. But you would take it over the top to surface that, or the way I bought this specifically, just to hit these edges right here. So I go across just like that. And when it's running, that's why this needs oiled a little bit, but when you're pushing it through, that's how it's supposed to work. And just pay attention, guys. I've been seeing people pushing through stuff through with their finger hanging down just a little bit, so they take their fingertip off. Fortunately, this one I've not seen anything too crazy. I mean, don't forget, I cut part of my finger off a while ago. I apologize for the lighting over here. But yeah, just pay attention. Keep your heads up. Quote a certain book series, constant vigilance. Pay attention. You can't let your mind wander when you're doing this. You know, if you're like me and you wear these a lot in the shop, this cannot override what you're doing with these. You have to be paying attention. And there are times where if I'm doing something super critical and I'm tired or just not with it, I just leave these on noise canceling and don't play anything. Because, I mean, I haven't had earplugs out here in a while because these do a fantastic job. I don't really care what brand it is as long as it's active noise canceling. They all seem to work pretty well for me. But I also have hearing damage from previous jobs. But yeah, just pay attention, folks. I get it's starting to get nice. I know a lot of people that aren't lucky enough to have a shop like I do. Like, I'm sure you can hear my heater going in the background because I just came out here. And it is a little nippy. I mean, I actually have 2 thermal sweatshirts on right now just to be comfortable. The hoodie will come off eventually because, yeah, I don't like dangly things when I'm working around power tools. So, and if I am wearing one of these while I'm working, tuck them in. I just don't have super loose sleeves. Like, these are fairly tight. They don't hang low. Yeah, just if you got a really baggy hoodie that you like to wear, just throw a zip tie over it real tight and real loose in a couple places. And make sure you can get your snips in to cut them out when you're done. You know, do what you got to do. Keep your stuff, you want it fairly form-fitting when especially when you got anything spinning. I mean, the saw behind me, don't mind the junk sitting on it because, like I say, I'm still in the process of rearranging. I've had this blade catch wood, throw the whole thing up, whip it around, and throw the board right back out at me. Yeah. Crazy things happen. I mean, I've seen more than a few people have table saw kicks where they're running a board through a table saw. If you've never noticed while you're cutting something, say this is one piece and we're cutting right where this finger is. So this is the back side of the blade. I've actually seen where, let's get a little closer so you guys can see better, where it'll cut, and as the cut works down, it'll come back through and close back up. That's the tension in the wood releasing. You got to be paying attention for that. Especially with hardwoods, because this stuff, I mean, this is one of the hardest woods I work with. This stuff starts bowing on you, there's nothing you can do that's going to stop it. And if you that's why on a table saw they have what's called a riving knife. It sits right behind the blade, and it prevents the wood from closing up all the way. It'll keep it open just about an 1/8 inch because that's the thickness of the riving knife itself. If you're running a table saw without one, you're wrong. Only time you'll ever see me take one out is when I got a dado stack. But a dado stack, you're not cutting the whole thing through, so you're not releasing the tension, so that board's going to want to go either way. I'm usually using that to cut it's called a dado, but it's basically a groove. Actually, my table saw is right there. I got to move a couple things, and I'll set it up, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, because, folks, I love being out here. I love doing this stuff. But you got to be safe. Be safe. All right. I'm going to go get that set up real quick, so I want to make sure you guys know what I'm talking about. All right. Just to start, right here's my plug. Right there. Everything's all wrapped up. I'm not turning this thing on. We're not putting power to it. I cannot do a safety rant type video where I'm not making it clear what I'm doing to stay safe, because I don't think it's right. Now we're just going to run our blade up. I'm going to take it all the way just to make this nice and easy. All right. I'm also about ready to start cleaning this thing off from last year. I want to see if I can get some more of this junk off that you can't really see up in the corner. But this is our riving knife on the back right here. All right. There is a guard that goes over the top. If you use that, you're not wrong either. Personally, I can't stand having it in my way because I do a lot of stuff, or I do a lot of cutting that I'd have to switch them out anyway, so I just run with the riving knife. The other guard, I don't even know if I still have it. It comes with the saw, but it has two pieces that go over the top, so that way if your hand comes down, you cannot physically touch that blade. All right. Oh, that's why. Sorry, my handle's right between my tripod. But this is, that's the riving knife. Let's see if we can get this where you guys can. Yeah, you see the bevel right there? That's so when the cut comes through, it's thinner there, so it actually physically splits it apart. That way, it's not going to get hung up. I actually had to replace one. It wasn't this one. It was the one I have a smaller table saw than this. It takes an 8-inch blade, not the 10-inch like that. But, you see how quickly, because there's literally just a handle that I'm pulling out. It opens a piece up in the back that locks in with those holes. When you let it go, it grabs those holes, locks it in. it doesn't get in your way. And a dado stack, I don't remember, I think I got one somewhere close. I'm not seeing them, but I'm pretty sure I've used them on the channel before. I know I got a brand new box of them. I got a brand new set. There it is. Let me just open this up right here on camera for you because I haven't even looked at this thing yet. I picked it up a while ago and haven't had a chance to get into it yet. So, all right. Just so you guys can see this a little bit better. Oh yeah. I gotta get some grease in this thing. All right, so, and this isn't even a fancy dado stack. It is a Harbor Freight branded one. Let's see if I can do this without a knife because I don't think I have one. That's a nice wooden box, actually. I'm really shocked. That's a really nice box for a dado stack. All right. So what a dado stack is, it's 2 blades, and you have all of these spacers, chippers. Like every one of these is a shim. You've got wow, this set's a lot nicer than I've got sets by DeWalt, another brand. Just from looking at this, I think these are just a lot better. It's got the measurements on there, so if you need your blades a little bit farther apart, you just throw those in. And you got 24 thou, 5 thou. By the way, 5 thousandths is like 2 sheets of paper thick. But then you've got chippers. That refers to the width of what it cuts right there. Bring that up in there a little bit closer. These sets are also incredibly dangerous. Nothing I do seems to ever be safe. But if I want to do, say I want to cut a groove that's 3/8 thick, what I would do is I would take this blade, obviously take that off, pop that on, pop this on. And even if I was just cutting a groove like this, because you can see that both sets of teeth are going the same direction, because those are going the same way. The chipper in the middle's all cutting the same direction. And if I need to fine tune anything, that's what these are for. For something this thin, because it fits in there. Yeah, 3/8 is about as big as I would go with this third plate. I do have a different one that's wider for a dado stack. Even though I don't have to, I would also leave the riving knife in there unless it sticks up higher. No, you do got to take this out because this is an 8-inch diameter. It's a 10-inch blade. The riving knife is made for an 8-inch. But that's the only time I would ever take these out, is for the simple fact that it will not work right with them in there, because the blade diameter is 2 inches smaller on this. So I want to see if I have anything where I've actually used them real quick, because I want to show you what the dado does as well, since I got them out. But yeah, that's the only time that riving knife comes off. Hopefully I'm not getting too far off a tangent, but I'm also want to make sure you guys have the best understanding I can give you. Because, yeah, if you're like me, I like to watch a video once and go. All right, I'll give away one of my next projects that I'm wanting to get knocked out early this summer. But I did all of these cuts with just the 2 big blades and no chipper in the middle, because usually it's right about 1/4 of an inch. I also have a sled for this, which is why it's got all the rub marks on it. But I mean, that's a short dado. And what I'll do with the rest of them is I'll actually put a groove pre-measured right there and kind of ignore where these are at, because the ones that match this will lock right in there, which I'm going to be doing a bunch of those, and then I'll do a video on them later. But yeah, that way, I don't want to just be the guy that says don't do this, because there are times you take it off, and I want to make sure you know when it's appropriate and when it's not. I actually don't remember where the throat plate is for that, which table saw throat plate is just this yellow thing where the blade comes through. Dado usually is, I believe mine was closed on the back. I don't remember though. It's been a minute since I've seen it. I've never used it because, like I said, I'll go up to a 3/8 before I switch it out, and I've never gone above 3/8 actually. Or no, I have. I have a couple times, but and if you can't afford the throat plate, but you want a dado stack, even if you don't use the chippers, there ain't nothing wrong with that. Instead of, like, if you want to knock all of this out and you want to use your table saw and a dado blade, you just take it, cut your first mark where it needs to be measured. So your blade's right here. You cut there, you slide it over, you slide it over, you slide it over. And I mean, you can use the miter gauge that comes with your saw. It's totally fine. There's no issues with that at all. I've done that more than a few times myself. I don't have them around here, but yeah, for the games my granddad used to make, that's how I cut a couple grooves in it, because it's faster, it's easier, and it's right there. It saved me having to find the miter gauge for my planer tables, which is router table, because I got my router tables right there. I'm not going over anything with those today because I got a bunch of junk on them, but routers, same thing. If you can get away with a push stick or something physical that you hold that your fingers are not touching the wood, because if you're holding wood and it kicks, it's going into your hand. If you got something on there and it kicks, if you're standing in the right place and you're doing everything the right way, it'll go flying away from you. So, I mean, there are times where, yeah, you have to be, or you might have to be where it's going to kick out. If it does, you've got to be willing to pay the consequences. It's never fun, but I mean, that's just the stuff you got to be on your A game. You got to be paying attention. If you're tired, if you don't know if you're quite through, even if you only have 3 cuts left to make, put it down, walk away. When I did this to my finger, I got 3 more cuts and I'm done for the day. First cut after I said that, I was on a table saw, pushing a board through. It bound up. I tried turning the saw off, and as soon as I moved this hand off the board to hit the power button, because I reached down underneath to hit the power button, something shifted just enough, the blade caught it, and I was holding it just like this with my hand on top the way I normally do. It was a wider board like this as well. It kicked the board. Let me get this down a little bit. Flew into my stomach. I'm a lot higher because I was right here. Flew into my stomach, but I was far enough back that it also threw my hand into the blade. Not a fun night. I had fun hassling the nurses, but it was not a fun night. When I was in the ER, I thought I had lost that much. Turns out, I never even needed surgery. And I count that as one of the luckiest near misses I've ever heard of, because most people I know that got cut with a table saw lost at least one finger, usually 2 and part of a thumb. You got to be paying attention. You can't let your guard down. Don't do it. Don't do it. You will regret it. You might get lucky today, you might get lucky tomorrow, but it could be the day after that it's your time to get bit. It ain't worth trying to get something done. But I got a couple other things I want to go over on a couple other machines. Then I think we're going to call this one. hope you guys are sticking in with me, and that I'm not too losing my mind crazy, but you know, like I say, I wouldn't do these if I didn't see people getting hurt. It is starting to turn springtime here in the States, starting to warm up. People that don't have heaters in their shops are starting to come out. If it's been a while, stop, think, take your time, think your cuts through. You know, I've had more than a few people, and when they're out here, make fun of me because I'm a little bit slow. I planned every move I'd make out. If I have a problem, like on this particular saw, I want to show you this. All right. Bandsaws. This is another one that a lot of people get hurt with. Right here's the plug. As a double confirmation, that should turn the light on if it was plugged in. This is the light. There's nothing coming out. It's not lit up. That's how I confirm this thing is not plugged in. Because even if there's any power, that will turn on. So, those are sanding discs I was using on my lathe, which is, you can, where's it? Right there's the stand for my grinder. My lathe's right next to that. You know, when you're running a bandsaw, again, eyes open, pay attention. A lot of people get hurt with these because they're not paying attention with this blade. Let me grab one thing. Because one of the most important safety things, and I see a lot of people do this, they'll set it up, they'll lift it all the way up, they'll lock it down, and they'll run their cuts just like that. That is so unsafe, it's not funny. That gives this whole blade that much more room to flex. I'm getting this light out of here. When you're using it, the way I usually do it is I'll run this guide all the way down until it's touching my cut piece, and I'll lift it up about a half a turn. But I try to stay about a 1/4 inch or so off the wood. And if you're 3/8, you're 3/8. It's no biggie. I think it's a 1/2 inch is what you're supposed to be minimum to be the official number. But I mean, if you're cutting, you know if there's too much gap because you can see the whole blade flex more. Sorry, ADD for a minute. But yeah, so, you know, and the other thing to remember, bandsaws, they were originally designed to cut meat. What else is meat that we're using around a bandsaw? Us, fingers, hands, leg. Oh, you shouldn't be using a leg, but I'm not judging if you do, although I will make fun of you. And I probably will openly make fun of you, which I normally don't do, but to me that would be absolutely hilarious. But I mean, I've heard of people taking a whole finger off. You know, the reason a lot of people let their guard down around a bandsaw, it's one of the slowest cutting blades in a wood shop. And people think, oh yeah, because I mean, if I was cutting this right now and I had someone call me, I'll let go of the workpiece, hit the power switch, which is right there, bottom left corner. Yeah. Pull it back a little, turn it off, answer the phone once it's quiet, turn it back on, and as it's speeding up, grab the piece. As soon as it's back up to speed, start going to work again. You know, might not be the safest thing ever, but I don't claim to be an expert. But you can get away with it because it's constantly pulling this board into the table. It's a lot less likely to go flying off unlike a table saw. And the miter saw, as soon as you let go of the trigger, it turns off. And remember, guys, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just don't want to see anybody get hurt. You know, I've seen my fair share of injuries in my time working in shops. They ain't no fun. There's the worst one I've ever seen. If you guys want me to do a video on it, I'll do one exclusively on that. That one will not be appropriate for children, but it was pretty gnarly. And the short version, the guy ended up losing an eye. I was the first person to see him after it happened and went running up to him, realized what happened. I was just, yeah. So I got a little bit of medical training behind me. That one I had no idea what to do. It shook me up pretty bad after EMS got there and they took over. It was bad. But we're going to go jump over to the lathe because I got a lot to say about those, even though I love them. If you watch the channel for any amount of time, you know I love my lathe. But we got things to discuss. And we're at the lathe. And you can tell this because I can play with the color of my light or how bright it is. If you guys didn't know, the lathe light I use can do all kinds of fun stuff. I normally just keep it on white because it shows up best on camera, but there are times where it's nice to have the warmer colors. So, wood lathes. Believe it or not, from the research that I've done from a few years ago, this is the #1 machine that causes fatalities in wood shops. If you guys have followed me from some of the early days, I actually had a bowl blow up on me. It cut my head from down all the way through here was one giant bruise. I still have pictures of it. It was bad. I know what I did wrong. It was something I wasn't thinking about when I took it up, unmounted it the first time to fix a problem, but again, learn from some of the mistakes I've made and the other mistakes I've seen others make. That's why a lot of us are willing to put them out there like this, because I don't want to see people get hurt. I'd rather you learn from from me being stupid than making the same mistakes I did, because I was told years ago, a smart man will learn when he's told. A wise man learns from from seeing other people mess up. Don't get overconfident. When you got a lathe spinning, sorry for all the shaking. It didn't want to move. But I mean, when you got a lathe turning at 3,500 RPM, I thought I had my phone in my pocket. It's something like, I forget the exact numbers off the top of my head. I was going to run the math, but I don't know where my phone's at, so I can't. So I don't want to do it without a calculator. But it's something like, I want to say a 3 to 4 inch bowl on here, turning at 3,500 RPM. I think it's like every 80 to 90 seconds you're putting like a little over a mile of wood past the cutting edge. So that means, where's one of my little ones? Here's a 1/4 inch spindle gouge. This one's dull, needs to be sharpened. But if I'm turning something that's a spindle that's 4 inches thick, which is not unheard of for me, that means every minute I'm putting about a mile worth of material over this cutting edge. And if you have never seen my cutting videos, when you're sharpening this, you literally roll a little bit of steel over and create a burr. That burr is the only thing that you're cutting on this. So you've got an edge that you can barely feel cutting over a mile about every minute, I do believe it is. And the bigger the diameter, the faster that thing's moving. Because it's turning 3,500 RPM right here. 3,500 RPM out here, it's the same you're getting the same RPM, which is revolutions per minute. But here might be, 20 mile. I'm just pulling numbers out. Say it's 20 mile an hour. But if you're out here, that could be 60, 70 mile an hour. It's not that big of a, it's really not that critical. I mean, it's important, but it's not safety issue critical going from about a 1-inch block to about a 3-inch bowl. You have to understand there are differences and that the edges out here are going to be turning a whole lot faster than in here, which is why if you've ever noticed when I'm doing bowl turning videos, when I'm digging in, I'm fast, and as deeper in I get, the slower I go, because it takes longer to get that material to go over your tool. But things that'll really be where it really gets to be important is when you're doing something like this. I mean, this is 15 inches in diameter. In here, you might be running, like I said, 15, 20 mile an hour. Out here, you could very easily be going almost, 80 to 100. I don't know if these numbers are accurate, but that's the difference. By the way, this is a once turned bowl. I'm probably going to be doing a video on it. It's still acclimating to weather around here. But that is for a special order from somebody. And it is the biggest hunk of wood I have ever thought about putting on this lathe. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little nervous. But this lathe can turn up to a 16-inch overbed throw. I just have to reverse a bunch of stuff that I've never done before. But we'll figure it out. Can't be that hard. I bumped the start button. Like I say, pay attention. But that's also why you can't see it, but it's also why when I'm leaning on this thing, I was holding the chuck, which is why I knew what happened instantly and threw my arm up, because But yeah, so the short version of reiterating this video: slow down, pay attention, think your things through. If there's a pinch point, cut point, anywhere where it could hurt, don't do it. I was always told if you wouldn't put your willy somewhere, don't put your fingers. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad way of thinking about things. Just pay attention. It's a fun hobby. Pay attention. Don't get hurt. There's no amount of money is worth putting your own health and safety at risk just because you want to get that cutting board out, that table out. I don't care if it's $10,000. I don't care if you're charging $150,000 for a table. It's not worth getting hurt for. So, plus, if you're not getting hurt, you're also a lot less likely to mess up your material for your actual project itself, because that can happen. I've seen people do it. I've watched a YouTube video one time where a guy had $15,000 in a slab of wood for a custom table. He said it took him 1.5 years to find it. He got in a hurry. He made a bad cut when he was half asleep. Ruined the whole thing. And it jumped something. I forget exactly what happened now. It's been a while. But something jumped and the whole, like half the table or half the slab just, and the whole thing split when he was only trying to cut like that much off the end. It split and it caused something else to crack and split. And it basically was a chain reaction. And he was still able to do something for somebody else with it, but it wasn't what he wanted. And he had to, I've had stuff fail that I've had to call clients for. Tell them, hey man, I'm sorry, I got to start over. It stinks. It's hard. It's always nice when somebody doesn't blow up at you. And especially when the first thing out of their mouth is, are you okay? after you explain what happened. So, no, yeah, that's really all I got for you guys. Just pay attention, be safe, have fun, and yeah. If you guys got any horror stories, feel free to throw them in the comments below, because I'm thinking about doing about one of these every year come springtime, when I know it's getting nice out and the people that work outside are getting ready to get set up. It's just something I want to get back into your mind, especially if you haven't been doing stuff for a while or you've done very little. Just slow down, pay attention, watch your pinch points, watch your cut points, watch where your blades are, watch your fingers. If you don't have push sticks, they're dirt cheap at Harbor Freight. Go grab some. Make your own. Do something. You guys won't see me use them much, but I also have, I think it's 3 or 4 grippers. I like them. It's just a lot of the stuff I do, I can get with a push stick a lot easier, so I don't use them that often. But the few times I've needed them, I've always been very thankful to have them. They are worth the investment. If you don't like that brand, but or if you don't like that style, get something else. I'm not going to judge you. I'll judge you more just for not using something and keeping your fingers super close to spinning blades. That's where I'll judge you for. So, I hate to sound like a jerk, but I hate to have a downer video, but once in a while we got to talk about safety. Because without safety, I wouldn't be doing this. So with that, I think I'm going to jump off of here. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to get done out here today. And I'm drawing blanks on future videos, so if you guys have anything, feel free to throw those in the comments too, because I got a lot of stuff I'm getting ready to start working on. But if you guys want to see specific things that aren't me going, well, I need to get this done, so we might do a bandsaw ASMR, or I might just be working on the lathe, or doing whatever I need to do to get stuff done. I got a couple shop projects coming up. Thought I had. Oh yeah, I forgot it. I took the shelf down over here. Some of the stuff some of the new product lines that I've shown you guys, I'm getting ready to start. I'm getting ready to start batching a bunch of those out here soon. So, the more suggestions I have, the easier it is for me to know, what it is you guys want to see. So with that, I'm going to jump off, and I will say, cat in the hat, that be that. We'll see y'all next time. Be safe, and have a good one.